Hi, I'm Jill from KiteCo, and today, as part of the Sew Marathon, we are making the Book Bestie by Carolina Little Stitches. Now, the link to the pattern is below. Now, I have made this as a device case, in fact, for my grandson's Switch. So it is wider and shorter than any of the patterns available. There's 5 different size options. So what I did is I found the pattern I needed in width, which was the medium. I needed the box, everything for the medium, except I needed it slightly shorter. So the Kindle was the perfect height, so I made it the same height as the Kindle and the same width as the medium, depending on how you look at it, whether it's that way or that way. But that's how I did it to go this way for a Switch. I also added a zipper pocket on the back so that he can put his little game cards and things in there. This is such a fun pattern to sew. There is 3 different flap options and different closure options. I went with the elastic because I reckon a young boy can cope with elastic. Anyway, this is my version. If you like what you see today, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Drop me some comments. Do you like this little controller print that I've come up with? It's got the black and white one inside. I think they're so much fun. Anyway, I'll stop talking now. The link to the pattern is below, and so is the link to the zips that are on my website. And that's all I have used. This is such a hardware light make. So quick, so easy. Let's get on with it. So this is all the pieces I'm going to be using to make my Book Bestie. So I've got my flap. I've made this little mash-up print of controllers and my lining. Now I have put Decavol Light as instructed and fleece on the flap. Then I have used, I am using interfacing and a very thin fleece because it is a device case on there. And you know what these kids are like, they're pretty rough with them. Now I am putting a pocket on the back so he can put his little game pouches or his little game cards in there. So I've cut my hole and have my zipper overlay for that. And I have a couple of little pockets or linings for those pockets inside. And I've got my lining, or my main lining, which is the 2 pieces the same as the main piece. Now I'm going to use a piece of elastic over that as well to keep that all in place. And I've got my little fabric tag that I'm going to be putting in with my zipper overlay. So we'll put those aside for now. And we're going to start with our flap. So we want those right sides together. And we want to sew around this, either, if you do, depending on which one you're doing, around this edge here at the seam allowance in the pattern. Now I'm not going to mention any of the seam allowances and things to keep the integrity of the pattern, but if you have the pattern, they're all very clearly available to you. So take your scissors and trim this down a little bit. Clip over your corners. Now you don't have to clip your whole seam. I've just got this quite interfaced, so I want to do that. So turn that through, put your fingernail right in the corner and just push those out. Now these are not really angled corners, so you don't need to press in anything too hard, as it don't over clip your seams. So I'm just going to put a couple of clips in the top just to keep my lining in place. Like that. And we are going to top stitch around this edge. Now I want a little bit of peek through, but I don't want to pull my lining short. It's just pulling back on that fleece, isn't it? Okay, so what we're going to do now is top stitch around that edge, and I'm going to leave a little bit of the black showing. That is our flap. So I'm just going to baste across the top. I think I would have missed that at the back because I went too far off. Yes, I did. This fabric frays like terrible, but that's our flap. I like that shape. I think it's really cool. And I've just got that little bit of peek through, which I've done on purpose, which obviously is pulling that in, but that's fine because it'll sit nice on the actual pouch. Okay, so I'm not using the elastic here, the little tab. I'm using elastic over the whole thing. So that is our flap. So now we want to take our front, put them right sides together, and I can just see my notch, my center notch, and line them up with the centers. Yes, that's center. And sew along the top. My knee lift is very stiff this morning, or maybe I'm very weak this morning. Maybe that's it. So we need our zipper overlay and my little tag, because I'm putting that in my zipper, and some double-sided tape. And a zip, which is somewhere. I shall go find that in a minute. Now I try and keep my double-sided tape out of my seam allowances. I don't think any machines, while they do it, I don't think many actually like it. Oops. So I usually start with taking my little end pieces off. I'm going to turn that over, and I'll be able to see that that is centered inside. Oops. Inside like that. So you can see how much I've cut away, just so that you won't see any raw edges on the outside. And I think it's actually easier to line it up as well. Make sure it doesn't go in at the bottom. See that bottom one has. Sometimes they have a tendency to drop a little bit. Right, I like this blue vinyl on that. It really makes it pop, don't you think? So what I'm wanting to do as well, I've got a little fabric label. I'm just going to pop that in there, rather than putting a metal tag on the front. So what we're going to do now is stitch right around the outside edge, fairly close to the edge. Now I am going to leave long tails and pull them through because I'm using a contrasting cotton. So pull those through at the back. So that is our zipper overlay and our little tag in there. So now we want to take our pockets and find our zip. So I'm using this bright rainbow because I think it's going to look pretty cool in behind there. Like that. But do I want it up a particular way or to one side? I think I want a bit of pink, so maybe we'll put it more to that side of it. Okay, so what we need to do is get one of our lining, put the zipper tape right side up, not the wrong side like we normally do, and as you can see it's way too long, and we're going to sew along the top there. So just flip the tape up like that, and then just up that way. So you've sewn it that way, flip it up, and then put it that way. And line up the pockets at the bottom, right sides together, and line up the top of the zip. And again, sew along there. So then what I do now is flatten down that seam and just sew along each edge. I find it's easier than fighting with a zip to keep it down flat. Okay. So then I might decide which way I want to have that in the pocket. Do I want the pink up or the pink down? I want the pink up, I think. So I want the pink up, so I'm going to put my zipper pull on from the right hand side so that it opens to the right. So the side you put it on is the side it's going to open towards. Like that. Find our tape again, put a bit of tape along the top over those seams, but I keep it, actually it's probably a bit close, I keep it about an inch in from the end because we're just going to pull it off there anyway. Like that. Hey! So make sure it's actually stuck down before you take the top off. Try that again, shall we? This time it is staying on. Get your zipper overlay and centre it over the pocket so you can see where the edges are. Actually, these pockets are a little bit small, but there's some that I had cut from something else, so if you can, use what you have. Flip that up, take that piece off. Now, because this has got the foam around the edge, it is fairly thick and it is going to move around. So I do recommend using an L to keep everything in place. Keep your pockets out, and we're just going to stitch around the inside of that. Again, I'm going to leave long tails and pull them through. And in the hole that you started. Goodness me. Tie those together. Now I take them out to the side, which is why I normally start at the side, and just put a tiny bit of double-sided tape to hold them in place there. Now you can pull them through with a needle. So now I'm going to pull that down off the tape there. And it should line up just below there, so I'm going to flip my pocket back and just cut along there. They are a little bit long, so I shall shorten them just a little bit. I don't have my fabric scissors here, maybe I need to go and get them. Okay. Flip that over. Yes, I should not be lazy, I should use the right tools for the job. So flip that back and trim up our pockets properly. Right. Pull that back, and we want to sew down the edge, along there, and back to the top. So I'm going to trim off my zipper tape. It's okay at that end. And if you do trim it, please remember to melt it again to secure it. Let's give that one a double melt. It'll melt all my cottons to the end of it. So there is our zipper pocket for his little game cartridges. So now we need to put our elastic on the side. So she gives us a mark to come down for our elastic. Make sure that is straight and that it's actually on the line, and baste those in place. Now I just zap the edge of my elastic, not too much, else it can tend to go all the way up, but it does stop it fraying a little bit. So that's obviously going to flip around to the other side to hold it in place by the time it's got everything in it. So now we want to put both our front and our back right side together and clip down the sides. Too much stuff here. So now we want to sew down there and across there at the required seam allowance. And mine has moved in horribly there, so I'll do that. Don't let your foam or fleece push you in. That's better. As you can see, I redid that because it pushed me in a little bit. So now we just trim those in. And now we're going to box our corners. So get your hand in there, open our seams up. Now I'm going to butterfly mine. So butterfly your seams, get your pocket out of the way if you've put a pocket on it. And we want to stitch along that straight line. So that we've got a corner like that. So now we want to do the other side. I find it easier just to get your fingers in and push it. Now you're wanting to line those two seams up, and you can tell when they do if you've got your fingernails in the back. If you find it easier, put a clip on either side and just butterfly these seams open so that they meet like that. So again, we want to sew along that corner. So now we will do the same with our lining. Put them right sides together, sew down either edge and along the bottom. And again, get your fingers in there. Line up your seams at the back and the front. Butterfly them out. And sew across the corner. Now on my linings, I just give it an ever so small trim. And the same with the other side. Line your seam up down the bottom if you've got room. So then you know And you can feel that they're lying right on top of each other. This is much easier with cotton because cotton stays where you want it to, but this polyester is a bit bouncy. It goes all over the place. And again, sew along the top. So while I've got that open, I like to press out my seams. I'll do the same in the bottom. You'll find the flatter your seams are in a bag, the better it'll sit at the end. Okay, so we have our lining and we've got our exterior. Now, what I did wrong, I realised, was I put the flap on the front. If you are doing a dedicated back, you want the flap to be on the back. So I have fixed that. And my fabric is fraying something terrible. So I'll fix that as well. So now we want to get our lining inside out and our exterior right side out with the flap down. Now put the lining in, or put the bag inside the lining. Now I have given my seams on my lining a little bit of a press to open up the seams. They don't open up well on this fabric, but anyway. Line up our center points. You can just see those. And our seams on the sides. Making sure they are open. Oh, there goes one. Butterfly the seam, make sure they line up. Of course, that's the recycle truck next door making all that noise. I should shut my window. Now we want to sew along here, right around the top, at the allotted seam allowance. Make sure your lining doesn't slip down at the back because it can tend to want to do that. So that is us all joined. So now we want to roll our seam up and bring your bag out the bottom of the flap, of the turning gap, sorry. Like that. And ta-da, a bag is born. That's got to be the easiest birth I've seen for a long time. Okay, so the flap's at the right side. Push our lining down in the bag. Now I'm going to leave a very tiny bit showing at the top like I have around the pocket. So clip that seam to top stitch it. Give it a bit of a roll. And then when you come around the back, make sure the lining is down flat, because you are going to sew down there as well. So I'm going to start I'll just fold that in a little bit like that. I'll start at the back, I think. I'll start at the back. Make sure your lining is down flat. Oops, bring a little bit of that round to the side. Now you can flip your flap backwards a little bit at that point if it makes it easier. That is almost done. So our flap comes over like that. So see, I've left that peek through there for effect. Obviously you can have it down perfectly if you want to. And then our elastic comes around that side to hold it in place. By the time that's got stuff in it, it's going to be quite firm. Oh, I think that's so cute. Got a little tail there that I need to... Right, so now we want to close up our lining. So get your hand in and bring your lining out. I find my center points, which are right there. Ow! Don't get your finger with the clips. It's not a good thing, it hurts. Okay, vagrant threads. Now we want to sew along here as close as we can to the edge while we make sure we catch both edges. Now I could have turned this through the bottom of the pocket, which would have been the smart way to do it. Just might give that cotton a little melt. That's all sewn. So just push that down into your bag or into your little book sleeve, or in this case device sleeve, and that just purely goes in there. And that is our Book Bestie. Isn't that just so cute? This is such a versatile pattern. Get my fingers there and push out my corners properly. So my grandson will absolutely love that for his device. So that is our Book Bestie all done. I think that is the cutest pattern, and that is such a fun quick sew. So if you've liked what you've seen today, please give me a thumbs up and a subscribe, as we do try and do this content regularly, and check out who's coming next in this fun sew marathon. Thanks for watching.